Hi everyone, it's Miss Madeleine. Welcome to the math class. This class we're going to work on lesson number 3, page 657. We're going to work with select and use customary tools. Now, there is a lot of tools used to measure length. One of them is a ruler, another one is a measuring tape, and we also talked about a yardstick. Do you remember? So what are we going to do on this page? Number 1, you will draw an object that you could measure with an inch ruler. So for example, Miss Madeleine can draw, for example, a pencil. Why? Because a pencil can be measured with an inch ruler, okay? So on box number 1, you need to draw an object that you will measure with an inch ruler. On box number 2, you will draw an object that you would measure with a yardstick, okay? Now remember that a yardstick it's bigger, so you can measure bigger objects. What can you measure with a yardstick? Maybe we can measure a chair because it's a little bit bigger. So on box number 2, you can draw a chair, okay? Now, on box number 3, we are going to draw an object that you will use to measure with this object. This object is a measuring tape or a tape measure. It is very, very long, so that means that we can measure objects which are longer, okay? So, for example, we can measure the board because it's bigger, okay? We can measure the board with a measuring tape, okay? So draw a board on number 3. Now let's turn the page 658, okay? Now we were talking about, remember, the inch ruler. This is a yardstick and this is a measuring tape, okay? So you have to be careful on which measuring tool you select, you choose to measure the objects, okay? Now let's start with number 1. Find the object, choose the tool and measure it. Explain why you would choose that tool. Now, to measure the eraser, with which tool do you think is better to measure the eraser with? Yes, you're right. So inch ruler, okay? So we are going to write on number 1, inch ruler, okay? Now, and we are going to estimate about how many inches long do you think it's the eraser? The answer is 9. Remember that when we estimate, it's not the exact amount, it's a number close to the real amount. Now, the hallway on the school, which object would you think, which measuring tool would you think it would be better to measure? We can use either the yardstick or we can use the measuring. So on number 2, you may write yardstick or you may write measuring tape, okay? So you may write measuring tape or you may write yardstick. Either of the two tools, it's okay, okay? Now, I think that this hallway, it's about 2 yards. So we write 2 yards, okay? Here it's 9 inches. It's about 9 inches. Your hand, which tool will be better to be measured? It's the inch ruler. So write inch ruler, okay? You're going to write inch ruler on the line. And your hand, I think it's about 5 or 6 inches, okay? Now turn your page. Remember, if the object is small, you will use an inch ruler. if the object is a little bit longer, you may use a yardstick. But if the object is very, very big, you may use a measuring tape. So remember, on this column, we are going to write the tool, and on these, we are going to estimate about how long is the object. Now, a Kleenex box, which object would it be better to measure with? Okay, the answer is inch ruler. Okay, so you write inch ruler. The Kleenex box, it's about 11 inches. Okay, and the same here, you're going to select the tool. For example, this locker, it's bigger, so you will choose a tool, pick a tool between the inch ruler, the yardstick, or the measuring tape, and on this part you're going to estimate. Okay, this object is smaller, so you will also use an inch ruler. How about the swings? The swings are bigger, so you may use a measuring tape. On this part, the object is smaller, so you may use a yardstick. How about this is a tile that we put on the floor. You may either measure with a inch ruler. Okay, so you're going to finish this by yourselves. Next page. Vijay measures the length of his bike with a yardstick. He says it is 1 yardstick long. How inches long is it? Remember that 1 yardstick has 36 inches. So the answer for number 10 is 36 inches. Why? Because 1 yard has 36 inches. Number 11. Ethan measured his foot with a yardstick. What other tool would have been a better choice? Remember, you are choosing between the proper measuring tools to measure. A yardstick is very long, and as you can see, a foot is small. So it's better if he chooses an inch ruler. Okay, sorry about my handwriting. So the answer for number 11 is inch ruler. Aisha measured her backyard with a ruler. Curtis measured his backyard with a yardstick. Okay, so the tools are ruler and yardstick. What other tool would have been a better choice? Remember that a backyard is very, very big, so it would be a better choice if they use measuring tape. So the answer is measuring tape. So number 12, write measuring tape. Okay, remember that we are selecting measuring tools. Now the answer for hot problem, remember that Miss Marlene always shows you the answer for number 4 hot problem, and the answer is here. Measuring tape and tape measure is the same thing. Okay, so copy the answer for hot problem in your book. Okay, so now we're going to do the next page. We're going to start with my homework. Okay, remember these are the tools that we are working with. Remember, we're working with an inch ruler, a yardstick, and a measuring tape or tape measure is the same thing. Now we use inch ruler for objects that are small, yardstick with objects that are a little bit bigger, and measuring for objects that are very, very long. Now on my homework, you guys are going to do the same thing that I explained to you guys on the last page. First, you pick a tool. So for example, for this chair, you would use a yardstick. You either can pick a yardstick, or you can easily use a measuring tape. And on this part, you're going to estimate the measurement of these. Now, if you use a yardstick, the chair can be about 1 yard or 36 inches. Okay, remember these are estimates. Your finger, would it be better if you use a yardstick or an inch ruler? Okay, it's better if we use an inch ruler because your finger is small. Okay, so the answer for number 2 is inch ruler. And about how many inches long do you think your finger is? It's about 2 or 3 inches. It may be 3 inches. Okay, next page. Turn your page, please. Now on number 3, number 4, number 5, you're going to do the same as the last page. You pick a tool and then you measure. You need to estimate. Look at the garage. The garage is very, very big, so it's better to use an inch ruler or a measuring tape. Of course, the answer is a measuring tape. Now on this part, you can measure it in yards, or it's better in yards. Okay, how about the swing? The swing is very, very big, so you use a yardstick and then you estimate the measurement. How about your bike? Your bike is not too big, so you use a yardstick and then you estimate the measurement. Number 6, there are 36 inches in 3 feet. Why is that? Because 1 feet is equal to 12 inches, right? And if you have 3 feet, you add 12 plus 12 plus 12 equals 36. Now, how many inches are there in 6 feet? If 3 are 36, we are going to add 36 plus 36 is 72. So the answer for number 6 is 72. Now, 4 feet is equal to how many inches? The answer is 48. Why? Because you add 12 plus 12 plus 12 plus 12 is 48. Okay? So I will see you next class for the next lesson. Bye.